Welcome to Just Say This, the place to get all the help you need for the birds and bees talks. I'm your host, Amy Lang. Just a quick reminder, this show is for grown-ups because I'll be swearing. There'll be lots of swears, and then I'll also be talking about grown-up sex. I can guarantee that your kids do not want to listen to this, and they really don't want to listen to it with you. You've been warned. Do you have a question for me? Please give me a call. The phone number is 206-926-1522, 206-926-1522, and I will answer on the show. And if you have a funny sex talk story, please call in those as well, 206-926-1522. Thanks. Welcome
Today's
back.
show is
I'm just going to read things from the
only.
mailbag.
And if you have a question for me, please give me a call. 206-926-1522. 206-926-1522. Even if you think it's really dumb, even if you're embarrassed to ask it, please ask it. You'll be helping a bunch of other parents. And remember, we're all in this together. So thanks for calling. Thanks for listening.
Anyway,
and
go
if
for
you're
it.
really
That's
liking
way
what
more
you're
fun for the
hearing, would
show.
you
People like
please
it
rate
more.
me?
I think
If I get up to 100 ratings, then when you Google or search parenting,
my son has a
I'll
friend
pop up.
who has been exposed to porn, and I believe
Hi,
my son
Amy.
has too.
My question
He
is
makes
about,
moaning noises, touches
my
me
8-year-old
inappropriately,
boy.
has learned the
He's
words
almost
come,
8,
69 clock,
and he
etc.
masturbates.
He's 9
he calls
years
it
old,
feeling the pee-pee,
and
he's
these
just
words and
humping the
behaviors
corner
trigger me
of
as I am
the
a
chair,
survivor of sexual
which is
abuse as a
fine,
child.
But
I'm also concerned about him teaching or touching my 2 younger daughters, 6 and 3. He also mentioned yesterday about Pornhub that his friend told him about. Ugh.
What can I do?
And then we
so
had a
he
quickie
doesn't
consultation.
Constantly do it in the kitchen in front of his 2 younger
sisters. This is zero fun
to I try not
hear
to shame
about
him.
and
I
learn
tell
about.
him it's normal.
And if you're having a
but
Judge Arama moment,
it just doesn't happen.
I'm just going to
So I
ask
just
you
need
to
some
not.
advice on
As you know,
what to
this
do
is
with
happening
that.
all
Thanks.
the time. So
I just think
here's
it's
my
so
advice to
great
this
when
mom.
kids figure
and
out
like I
that
said,
it
we had a
feels
quickie
good to touch the
because
junk.
she needed
Awesome.
one,
And
obviously.
I,
Yes, he's been
good
porn
on him for
exposed,
sorting
and
that
I
out.
can totally understand why this is triggering.
Probably talked about this before.
It is terrible
but when,
to hear these words
when young
from a
kids
9-year-old,
are touching their privates and rubbing them like this, I don't call it masturbation.
Abuse
because even though
this kind of language.
Technically,
so first of all, I just
is,
want to say I'm
just
super sorry
rubbing
about that.
and
And
penis,
you might
clitoris,
not be
whatever,
the right
that's
person to
technically
talk to
masturbation.
him.
But
And if
when
you
a
have
kiddo is
somebody
doing
else
it like
that can
he's
take
doing
this
it,
on,
he's
that's
doing it because
totally
it feels
fine.
good. He's not
but a
thinking any
handful of
sexual
things you can
thoughts.
do right now that would be
He's not
helpful
got
to
somebody
him
else in
and
his
probably
head. So
helpful
I know
to
you're
you.
like, I know, Amy, John
First
Stamos,
of all,
whatever. Okay.
you need to get some body boundary books because we want to make sure your kids
it's great that he's
safe.
doing this. You've
And
done
so
a good
there's
job
some
of
those
saying,
listed
it's
in
fine. It's
the-
something we do in
in the
private.
show notes.
It's great
So
that he can
that's
talk
one thing
openly
you need
with
to
you
do
about
because
it. But
you
yeah,
do
it
need
needs
to
to
be
stop
really clear
in public
about the rules about
because
touching and that kind
it's
of
not
thing.
a socially
So that's
appropriate
kind of the easy
behavior
thing to
anywhere.
do. And I agree with you. You should be
doing it
concerned
at
because when
home,
kids are exposed, they oftentimes
that's one
try and
thing.
act
But
it
if
out
he's
because
doing
they
it at
don't
school
get
or
it.
someplace
They
else as
don't
well,
get
that
it.
isn't.
So with him,
that's another thing.
When I think you need to sit him
and,
down if you
so
haven't
he
already.
basically needs
and
to knock
you
it
know,
off
I
in
don't
public.
recommend
So
generally
here's what I would
speaking
do.
to have this sort of
I
really
would, when
serious
he's
kind
not
of
doing it,
conversation.
and
but
he's
in
old
this
enough
case,
for
I
sure
think
to
you need
understand
to.
the
So you
difference
should
between
still be
public and
side
private.
by side.
I would just
that's the best way to do
park
this.
him,
And
sort of.
tell
I'm
him
not
he is
down with
not in trouble.
We're having a serious
that
conversation,
it's
but
your
sometimes you need to
mistake
have a
for
more
not
serious
keeping him
tone
safe
and be a little
online
more
and not talking with his friends' parents about showing him the porn.
I would just say to him,
I would let him
hey,
know
I got to talk to you
that
about something.
it's really not for
I know
adults,
that
and the
you
words
like
he's been
to rub
saying
your penis,
are not safe because they're grown-up words, and if somebody overhears him saying that, he can get into a lot of trouble. He's not in trouble with you.
Use his words. I know you like doing this. It
him
feels really
that
good. Again, I've
it's
told you
really
that's totally
important
fine
that
to
he
do.
stop
But
watching
here's
this, that it can
the
be really
deal.
confusing
You're old
and
enough now to
upsetting.
know that
It's
that
not
is
for
something
kids,
people do
and that you're
in
gonna
private
take
when they're
steps,
alone.
big steps,
It's not
to make sure
okay
that
for
he
you to
can't
be
see
doing
this
that
stuff
in front of
online
other
at your
people.
house
They feel
anymore.
uncomfortable.
And again, you need to apologize
that's
to
just
him.
the way it is.
See how he does with that.
The rule is,
and then I would
you
say,
need to do that. When you want to do that, you need to do it in your bedroom when you're alone.
You are safe
Boom,
and
I'm
you're
in
okay.
the end.
and
he might need you to
say,
talk to somebody to make sure
that
kind,
you don't want to shame
okay
him
about this part
but
of
he
life,
needs to know
that
that's just not socially
information for a kid your age to have.
Stuff. All right.
Now,
meanwhile,
this is going to be probably kind of
you do your
hard.
thing, and
He's
going to forget. He's probably doing it because
and
it's
again, if there's somebody that is better suited, if
we
he
all
has
know
another
that
parent
feels great
who's
and
chill and can do this, I recommend that person do it. If not, safe adult friend, somebody you trust that can have this conversation with him.
Just look at him and say, "Hey, what's the
rule?"
With
him making those noises and saying those things,
and
it's
he'll be
really
like,
important.
Or he'll be like, "Oh yeah,"
and I'm guessing that you might not have been as firm as you should be with this because it's triggering to you.
You said he's doing it all the time. Like, I don't know if that just means every
time
he's in the kitchen where the chairs
moaning
around,
noises,
he just gets right on and
those
gets
words,
you need to be
really clear with him and say,
other times
you need to stop
around in his life.
You need to stop. It is not okay for you to make those noises.
And
we talked about this, so I'm going to ask you to stop. You're not in trouble. I know you forgot.
Changing
so please stop making those
usually
noises.
it's
saying
self-soothing.
Rubbing
generally
against
doesn't indicate anything
whatever
else,
he's
but it
doing
could.
to you.
So
be very clear.
Marching
Please
orders.
Stop. It's not okay
Firm,
or safe
kind.
to say those words.
You need to stop doing this. People feel
That's
uncomfortable.
it.
You're old
now,
enough now to know.
You're probably thinking, let's give this kid a
redirect.
There really isn't a consequence.
Take about
one thing you
could
do with him is say, you know what? I know you like to say those words.
He'll also get tired of you
it gets you kind of
hey
excited.
Man,
so how about this? Why don't you just take a chill out in your bedroom for a little bit?
Him. Do you hear my tone there?
You calm down and remember, it's not okay to say those words.
Yeah, and
another
again,
thing I would do too,
right? He's
is I would
what's
bring
going
his
on.
sisters
Feels
into
good.
it
We
only
like
in the
this.
sense
Very
that
important.
you're the big brother and you need to set an example for
them.
If they said these words, they would get in so much trouble.
When you redirect
not with me
again,
use a tone that's pretty matter of fact. Kids saying this
Don't
kind
be
of
all,
stuff.
oh hey honey.
So I would do all of that.
Just be like, hey, what's the rule? We talked about this.
Based on the exposure and how
he's
using this language, that he does need to have some therapy. And
hi there.
Just listener, you can go to rainn.org and find a therapist in your area. You want someone that specializes in child sexual abuse because they
how to talk to your kids about their own parents or other parents inappropriate sexual behavior.
His friend.
Any advice you can give on that
you
would
need
be
to talk
helpful.
to his parents. Take care of your child
my
first.
son
This
is
child
12,
knows
almost
what
13.
Pornhub is. That is
and he has
not
a stepbrother
okay.
who
you need to find out
5,
if he's continuing to access it. You need to make sure that child is safe. Now, the parents may freak out and say it's your kid's fault and your kid's been showing and blah, blah, blah.
Especially for
maybe not, but
stepping
that
up
kid needs help as well.
Wanting to talk
so this
about
is really
this
hard
and
stuff,
wanting to
especially
handle it well.
Because of your
I'm assuming
history.
that you're impacted
and
by
I also
this
just
in
want
some
to
way.
assure you,
I don't know which end of it you're on, but regardless, this is something that kids need to know about, and it's so hard when it's within their own family. So let's see.
Sorry,
I would start out by saying,
and frustrating to me. So sorry.
This 5-year-old is your job as well. Let's talk about
you
the
do need to
13-year-old
talk
first.
with him, and I think he does need to have a little tune-up with somebody just to make sure.
With the 13-year-old, assuming they already know,
more advice department, he may really try to access.
If they don't know, it's one kind of tactic,
and so
end up saying basically the same thing. So let's do this.
Limit
if you need
his
to introduce
time
the
online,
topic, I would
use
say
Bark or Custodio,
essentially,
and
get them in a space where they're
talk
calm and cool and collected,
if
and
he keeps
not
trying
stressed
to get
out
into
and
it, if he's
as open as they can possibly be. Do not
and then
sit them down at the
away
table
and
do that whole routine. We need to have a conversation. If you can find something else to do while you're talking to them, that's always helpful. I feel like
your friend isn't safe.
Do you all know that?
So
I'm never saying
let's
that.
Let's take a little break from them. He's making decisions that can get
then
kids
I would
in
say,
trouble,
hey, I need to talk to you about something. It's important, and I feel uncomfortable, and it's also kind of awkward.
Really hard
but here's the deal.
And I think there are ways that you can help your child,
people are in relationships, they're married or whatever, and they make an agreement. There's more. Usually they make an agreement that they will only be romantic with and have sex with that one person.
Sexually abusive to see
and
this
sometimes
kind of thing, which is why I really
what can happen is that one of the people in that marriage or partnership will make the
this
choice
one's less traumatizing.
to have sex or a relationship
with that porn
outside
stuff.
of that
it's constant,
marriage,
as you know.
So
here's my next one
because it's easier.
Hey,
outside
Amy,
of that marriage,
I just listened to episode 138, and I was
cheating
keen to
or
hear
infidelity,
about how to talk to your children about
and
all
it's something
things
that
sexual
happens,
when you get
and
pushback.
it's an unfortunate
Sometimes
part
my daughter
of
listens and we have a little
in
chat.
romantic
Sometimes I get
relationships,
pushback,
being married. This is a thing that can happen. It's not good.
I try to keep things casual, and I still talk to her while we're doing something
cheating,
else, so it's not intense.
They don't find out for a while. The partner who's cheating is
Go
sneaking around, and it's just
I'm
really,
glad
really,
that
really
you are taking
hard
this on.
thing that can happen in a relationship.
Yeah, pushback is really
the reason
normal,
I'm telling you
this
is
because
I
don't know how old your daughter is,
I'm
but
just going to go with
kids can
this.
feel really uncomfortable having these conversations.
Other parents made that choice.
A lot of it is just how they're wired.
They've been having a relationship with someone else outside of our relationship.
And for parents to see that.
So
a couple of questions
it's not a good thing. I'm really upset.
But what are the topics when you're talking to her that cause her to cry?
I'm mad. And,
now, my hunch is that it's puberty stuff.
And now it's
because
just,
some
a
kids
yucky
really
thing that's
struggle
going on in
with
our
the
family.
idea that their body is going to grow and change.
Then
neurodiverse kids oftentimes struggle with
see what
this.
they do.
Kids who are
and then you
not
also
the gender they
want
were
to
given
say
at
something
birth
along the
really,
lines
really
of,
struggle with this.
I just want to be
like
really clear with you that this has nothing to do with you or your brother.
Good. And that would make me cry,
just between me
so what I would do is
other
I
parents.
would not when she's
and,
crying. I would
we
just
both love
wait
you
and find a quiet
crazy
time,
town,
like maybe at bedtime, and say, hey,
I've
been
noticed
that
and this is what's happening now.
Crying.
And so
can you tell me
maybe
a little bit about
other
what's
parents
going on?
moving out, maybe you're going to therapy,
and
maybe you're
whatever.
Then you tell them exactly
she
that.
also might be getting
if therapy
some
is not on the table, please get your ass to therapy.
That also scare her, so they may be talking about sex.
Yes, you have to have therapy when something like this happens, and
it's
so easy to get therapy now.
And so
anyway,
they have a lot of
so then
see what they do, anal sex,
see what they do,
number of things, and so when
then
you
say,
bring up
do you
sex,
have any
that's in her
questions,
head, and it freaks her out.
See how they handle it. They may get really angry with the other parents.
That is, those are my guesses. So you do need to do a little detective work. You do need to pay attention to her in other ways
and then
too. So are you having the conversations
like,
at the end of the day?
I'll let you know what's happening. Again, this is nothing to do with you.
in the middle of
it might feel like it in some ways, but it absolutely has nothing to do with you. Your other parent made this choice to do this thing,
and you pop in with
they
a little
know
casual
it's not
something,
okay, but sometimes people make mistakes.
She may be queer in some
really
other
important
way,
that you
so
push
all this
on that. They made a mistake.
Heterosexual focus is freaking her out.
The reason for that
so I would
is
take a breath,
that it is going to help keep them connected to their other parent,
really
and
super
it also takes
and
away
do
the
a little
kind of
investigation,
any kind of
shame
that you might.
The other thing too you could do is just say, hey, sometimes this really upsets you. Is there anything I can do to make this easier on you?
That is the shittiest thing ever to do.
See what she says to that. She'll probably say no, because they always say no. So a couple things you can do in that department is give her a warning, right? You know, my
really good
hey,
for them to hear because they know that if you have that be the framework, it's less
like a little advanced warning,
scary, and it's less
also
mean.
using other
human beings
in the household
did make a mistake
to have the conversations,
and it has
far-reaching consequences. And you're like,
all right, so that's what I would do with the older kid.
This
is one of those things that you might want to listen to again and take notes because this is hard. And it is completely legit to say, I've written down what I want to say to you because this is hard. So you can probably get the first part out of your mouth, but it's fine to use notes in all things. Actually,
thing that I didn't say. Back to the porn thing.
And be sure to say I feel uncomfortable.
Everybody needs
this is awkward, but you need to know.
There are links in
all right, so that kid's done. With the 5-year-old, I think that they don't need to know that this is happening in your relationship.
Hang in there. Good luck. And again,
it would be
for
it's
calls.
just too much. Honestly, it's just too much information for a 5-year-old. They can't quite make sense of it.
Have a super day.
If you need to say something like the other parent is out of the household or there's divorcing or splitting up happening, you can say something really
everyone
simple,
who's been calling
like,
in. The number is 206-926-1522.
They made a mistake
so
and hurt my feelings.
Leave me a message if you have a question or a tale from the trenches.
And they made a big mistake.
Thank you to Melanie Smith, my producer,
they started having a romance with
the Birds
somebody else and a relationship with somebody else and didn't tell me. And so, that's a yucky thing that happened. They made a mistake, and right now we just don't want to be living together because that was a big ouchy thing that they did. Not a bad person, like all that. They're not a bad person. They made a mistake. Love you to death, to death, to death. We're still a family, but maybe in a different way, and leave it at that. So we're going to kind of focus on made a mistake, hurt my feelings, started another relationship. We didn't, that's not okay. And keep it calm and simple again. Like all your fury and all that, just get it out with the wine bottle and your pals. Don't let your kids smell any of that. Hurt feelings is okay, but your anger, you really gotta manage. All right. If anybody's been through this and talked with their kids, will you please call and 206-926-1522 and leave any advice you have. I think this is really great. I'll make a help another parent out of this on my Facebook page too and for the Instagram. So, but if you got ideas, please call them in. This is a tough one. All right, hang in there. You've got this, and thanks for your call.
Hi, I have two boys, ages 7 and 11. And recently we were camping with my sister and her boys, who are close in age, and another friend and a couple of friends and their kids. And there was on another campsite a naked guy. One of our adults from our group saw him first getting out of his tent, and it was kind of that awkward, he'll probably get dressed now moment. And then our older boys, 11 and 12-year-olds, wanted to go for a short walk. There was a little quarter-mile trail they wanted to walk down and come back. And we didn't know about the naked guy yet. That adult hadn't come back from their walk yet. So we had told the boys they could go. And they saw the naked guy. He waved at them, and they were weirded out by this naked guy. And then some of our younger kids, their ball had bounced across the little street into the other campsite, and from that campsite they could see the naked guy. So the 7-year-old told us what was going on over there. And, of course, us adults went over to, see what the little kids had seen, and then the older kids came back, and they had told us what happened, and the first adult came back, and she's like, I assumed he would have gotten dressed. That's so awkward. And so we went over, and he still made no attempt to cover himself up, just naked as could be, sitting on his picnic table. So, of course, we called the police, and the officer came out and, questioned him, and he said he just wanted to be one with nature. And, of course, the officer told him you can't do that in a state park, and there's families here. And he was arrested on 7 counts of exposing himself to children, and the children had to give a brief statement on, their experience, and us adults gave written statements. And it's been a few weeks now, and we haven't heard anything, so, I'm sure that's getting all handled legally. But my 7-year-old keeps asking, why would somebody do that? Why would somebody do that?
You got cut off, but I know where you were going, so I can answer your question. But before I get to that, thank you for calling and giving this really detailed story of somebody being a creepster and taking action and showing your kids and, frankly, the world what to do when something like this goes on. A lot of folks, he was blatant, but a lot of folks wouldn't have called and would have kind of maybe said, hey man, put your clothes on, and not wanted to get involved, or told their kids not to go over there, or any number of things. So thank you. Thank you for your call. And this is something that is actually pretty rare. Most people that are interested in being nude and showing their bodies off to humanity aren't so bold, and don't go to camping and get naked in front of everybody. So my guess is he's probably a little mentally ill. Communing with nature is great, but not in a state park, as you said. And one of the things about this is that he could just be bonkers, and technical terms, sorry if I offended you, he could just be bonkers, and this is how it's showing up. He could also be some kind of predator, somebody who likes to expose themselves to children and other folks. You're not ever really going to know that, because you probably might not necessarily find out what happens with him. You may, and it may be that this is a pattern of behavior and he is a pedophile. I am not trying to defend him in any way, but just need to say all those things, or am compelled to say all those things. So good on you. And for those of you who are thinking, oh no, the kids had to make statements and that kind of thing, when folks do this with kids, they are well trained. It's not traumatic or scary for them. They're very matter of fact. And again, back to your awesomeness, because y'all were pretty chill about the whole thing. I'm sure you weren't really, but it sounds like you didn't alarm the kids too much. Of course it was weird and scary. Your 7-year-old is sort of showing you that a little bit. So here's answering his question. I'm guessing you probably said things, a number of things, but a couple of things you might try saying to him are, tell me more about what you think about why he did this, and see if you can get some information out of him. Ask him, how did you feel when you saw him? Because we want to get him talking a little bit about the experience. Ask him what it was like to talk to the police officer. Ask him how he thinks the other kids are doing. So kind of connect with him that way. And then just to answer his question, you can say, you know what? People are weird. And sometimes there are people like this guy who made a mistake, and for some reason he thought it was just okay to be naked out, in a public place. A state park's a public place, and just to show his naked body off. And frankly, obviously, absolutely not okay. Every adult knows it's not okay to show your privates or your body to children, and that's why he got in trouble. You can say, we may never know why exactly he did this. Maybe it made him feel good in some way. But, the reality is that most adults don't do this kind of thing. Everybody knows that it's not okay or safe to show your privates off like that. And, it's a bummer that this happened, but, he needed to go to jail because he made this big mistake. It's against the law. And hopefully he's getting some help. And yeah, that's all I got. And see what he does. And if he can't recover from this, if he can't wrap his mind around it, he might need a little extra support just to help him make sense of it. And, everybody is wired differently. The other kids, water off a duck's back. They're going to be telling the story about the naked guy, like you will be telling the story about the naked guy. But everybody's wired differently. So maybe he's a little more sensitive. Having an interaction with the police is a big thing. It was a big thing. This guy was bonkers and doing this really crappy thing. So he may just be more sensitive, which I've just said 37 times. Anyway, thanks for your call. Sorry you got cut off. But yeah, go you, doing the right thing, setting an example for the people that were there, the people that were choosing to ignore him. Yeah, that's not a good way to be. So see something, say something. That's it for this week. Thanks to everyone who's been calling in. The number's 206-926-1522, so please leave me a message if you have a question or a tale from the trenches. And thank you to Melanie Smith, my producer, and to Rolf, who wrote the Birds and Bees and Kids theme song.